writer, a co-writer, and whose story, wonderful book that our story is based on, Sarfraz. And also a man who I think his life is going to change from today is our Jabid, Viveik Kalra.
I think they like it.
Thank you so much. That's, you know, you go out on a, you take a risk, you make a movie from the heart, and you don't know about timing, you don't know how things are going to work out. I'm sure glad that war's not happening now. That's good. That was very relevant, you know. But oh my God, I'm all really excited. But anyway, you know, it's Luton. Luton was voted the worst place to live in Britain. But it's brought us a fantastic location. Right, what should I do now?
I can ask you a question. Well, since both of you are here, I'm curious about the genesis of the project. How did you discover his book, and when did you decide to adapt it?
So Sarfraz and I have been friends for a while. He's a journalist in England, writes a lot of papers, and then he wrote the book. And obviously you've seen what a huge super fan he is of Bruce, so we had that in common. And when he finished his book, he gave it to me, and I said, yeah, I know how to make this into a film, but we can only make it with Bruce's permission, otherwise it will never work. And fortuitously, in 2010, Bruce was coming to London for the premiere of his movie Promise, and I was invited to the premiere, and Sarfraz, I took Sarfraz as my +1, and we both stood on the red carpet as he was coming. I stood at one side of it, Sarfraz stood on the other side, and we both had our cameras like that, so that when Bruce walked past, we both back like this. So we'd be in the same frame as Bruce, and we were standing there like this, right, and he was coming, and we were going, oh my God, he's coming, is your camera on? Yeah, my camera is, you're on, yes, it's on, it's on, he's coming. And we were like this, and as he came round, he saw Sarfraz, who he has recognised from those 150 concerts he's been to, because he's like about the only Pakistani with afro hair in those concerts. And Bruce has often said, hey man, what are you doing in Pittsburgh? So he walked over to Sarfraz and said, I read your book, it's beautiful. And Sarfraz started hyperventilating. And I ran over.
You weren't that relaxed yourself?
No, I wasn't. I was also hopeless. I grabbed that moment and said, we want to make a film of the book, will you help us? I invented like Beckham, but I know your kids like it. No. Like, really cool, you know? And he kind of looked at both of us like this. He was like, you know, he had that amazing mouth and the bite. And he looked at us and went, sounds good. Talk to John. And of course with him was John Landau, Barbara Carr, Tracy Nurse, who we met that night. And as Bruce walked on, they said, what is he talking about? What are you talking about? And then we mentioned the book. And the next day we saw a picture of John Landau going into the Claridge's Hotel with a copy of the book in his pocket. And then we kept in touch with Tracy Nurse, who is sitting there, along with Barbara Carr. And really, through their support, we were able to talk to Bruce about it being a reality. And then we started working on the script, Sarfraz and I, and we knew that we didn't have to please financiers or anybody for this. The only person we had to please was Bruce. So we sat down and wrote a screenplay for Bruce Springsteen. And then we just used the songs as we wanted to use them. And what I had to do was find a way of using the songs as if he'd written the songs for our movie. And once we sent in the script through Tracy, he read the script, and every hour, Sarfraz was emailing me saying, "Have you heard anything?" And after about a couple of weeks, we got a message back from Tracy, and we're both like, "Oh my God, what's going to be the answer?" And
He's trying to be on the bus, I remember.
yeah, you were on the bus, I FaceTimed you. And the message came back, and he said, "I'm all good with this." And then he said, "Let him do it." And he gave us carte blanche on his wonderful music, and that's how we made the film.
Tell us how you found this young man.
Yeah, it's cool. Thank you firstly for being so warm and receptive. It was mad. This is mad. There's a lot of people here. Fucking hell. Yeah, I look at hopefully a bit older with a bit of facial hair. It was crazy doing that. 6 weeks or whatever it was. I was just absolute madness. I had my head down, doing whatever I could and hoped it would be all right. And I'm very glad that you guys seem to like it because we put. Well, I know I put my sort of heart into it as much as I could, and that was really where it lay for me. It doesn't matter for me about the accolades or whatever, or what comes after this, but just the fact that we, all three of us, put our hearts and souls into it, and you guys are working on it for bloody 6-7 years, I don't know how long before me, Sarfraz, it's a bloody life. Just to think that we could, be here now after all that, and it's madness. Yeah, thank you.
This is first film.
I want to give the audience an opportunity to ask some questions. You right in the middle?
Yeah, like many of us here, I'm a huge fan of films and Bruce Springsteen. I'm curious your choice to only use a few seconds of the song Blinded by the Light and the whole thing. I'm curious if you can talk about that.
Can you believe, I'm going to tell you something outrageous now. Can you believe that there were people who said, what about people who are watching this movie who aren't Bruce fans? You've got to cater for them too. So, horrific, isn't that horrific? Sitting in an edit room and hearing someone say that. But the tragedy is, I feel it the same as you, but the film is 1 hour, 40-something minutes, 46, 47 minutes, and that's long. But boy, do I need an extra verse of The River on TV. Boy, do I need an extra verse of every goddamn song there. They're all cut off too soon, and I'm just getting into singing them, and then they're gone. So
We only managed to put 17 in, didn't we?
we put 17, but that was the other thing. I'll talk to you about that when I showed the film to Bruce at some point, but we had, I think less is more, and I think for the fans, you will go home now and put it on, I'm sure, and listen to all the songs, and there'll be a whole new audience who will come to Bruce Springsteen, a whole new generation, a bunch of Asians, might not have ever gone to listen to Bruce, so really we've given a taster. But if we'd have put as much of this music in as I would have liked it, we'd still be here, 3 hours later.
Yes, you know, here in front.
Hi. Amazing. Like, so amazing. First of all, I'm a diehard Bruce fan, but beyond that, I live in Washington, D.C. I'm from Ohio. I went to volunteer for Hillary Clinton when she lost. I have not laughed in such happy tears and cried the way that I have since November 7th, 2015. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I just want to speak to that actually, because one of the reasons I was quite interested in wanting to make this film was because I thought the idea of a 16-year-old kid who was Pakistani, who was living in Britain, absolutely in love with America, and in love with the most American icon there is. I don't know whether a 16-year-old in 2019 of my background would feel that way about America now. And I just thought that one of the things I love about Springsteen is I think he kind of embodies the best of American values. And I just thought that if more people could live by the words of Bruce Springsteen, that really would be a way of making America great again.
Be wondering why Bruce isn't here today, right? But let me tell you, the reason he's not here is because he really didn't want to take away from the movie. That's what he said. He didn't want to take away from us and the movie, and he felt that if he had come, he would have overshadowed the movie, and it wouldn't have been fair, and he wanted it to be our night and for us, and that's how great, he is. So. That's that, but...
I just want to say one other thing, because I've got people talking about the Bruce thing, and there's a line from The Promise. Do you guys know The Promise? So there's a line where he says, I hit it big once, but I paid a big cost. Inside I carried the broken spirits of all the other ones who lost. And for me, this film is as much about my dad as it is about me or Bruce, and the relationship between a dad and his son. And the film ends in 1989. With me going off to university in Manchester. This is going to be a bit difficult for me to say, so stick with me. But so I left in 1989, and 6 years later, my dad dropped dead of a heart attack. And I was only 23, and I was unemployed, and I hadn't done anything with my life, and I was still at that age where I didn't give a fuck about my dad's background, or his history, or his own story, because I was totally absorbed in my own. And so the reason I wrote the book and the reason I wanted to make the film was to try and have a conversation with my dad in his absence and to try and honour him in a way that I wasn't able to do when he was alive. And in that way I was trying to carry the broken spirits of all the other ones who lost.
I just want to know, how long did you two work together to understand the role and the feelings and the emotions? Or did you not?
Us two.
Yeah, or did you not work at all?
This guy is amazing, for one thing. And what was great is when we first met, this is like, because it's not fiction, it was really important that this guy was going to be good. And so I basically took him to Luton. I showed him around the house where I grew up. I took him and showed him loads of my photographs. I showed him all my poems. And I basically kind of gave him a kind of crash course in me. And the book. And then I said, do what the hell you want with it. You don't have to use any of it, but at least you know it. And then I think you must have just absorbed some of it and then run with it in your own way.
Yeah, pretty much.
He did an amazing audition, that's the thing. Yes, Viveik came in and did an amazing audition, and for a young, really new actor, there was a few of them, but he was the one who I believed would sit in a room and write poetry. That's what I felt with him, and he did a great job for us. And when the film was not completely finished, but almost finished, I had to go to New York to show it to Bruce, because obviously I couldn't put it out there until he'd seen it, and I needed to know if he needed to make any changes, or, I just had to show it to him. And we haven't had any contact really since he approved the script. And we'd said, does he want to know what we're doing? But, Tracy said, no, he says, just get on with it. And so the time came a few years later from the okay of the script to actually showing him the film. And he was on Broadway, of course. And so on one of his days off, we had a little screening in a private room, and And I was extremely nervous, as you can imagine. And he's coming with all his team. So managers and some of his dear friends and colleagues of many, many years. And we're all sitting in a room waiting for Bruce to arrive. And John Lander looked at me and said, what are you going to do if he doesn't like the film? And I said, well, every decision I've made is thinking what he might think. So, but then Bruce came in and very quietly sat down and said, okay. So, what do you do at that point, right? So I'm like, okay. So I was fumbling around, put the thing on, the machine on, checked it a million times to make sure it was working. And then I went and sat right at the back, and he sat right at the front, and the film started. And I was like, I just couldn't sit at the back. I had to see what he was thinking. And so I moved to the front as well. And then I sat a row behind him, and I could just see the sides of his eyes, his sort of, wrinkles here. And so I could see when he was smiling. And there were certain places where he really laughed a lot. The Billy Joel reference. He liked the, when he quotes the lyrics to Born to Run and his friend says, those lyrics are shit. That was very funny. And lots of places he liked, and there were surprises. He wasn't expecting all the stuff around racism to be quite so graphic. The use of jungle land during the National Front riots, he was, that I could see he was quite shocked. And then at the end, it finished, and of course everyone was waiting for his reaction before they said anything, including me. And then I sort of went up to the front and put the lights on, and he kind of looked at me, and he got up and he walked over, and he gave me a big hug and a kiss, and he said, thank you for looking after me so beautifully. Anything I can change, anything you want different, any use of song, should we make it longer, shorter? And he said, no, don't change a thing. It's perfect, leave it. So for me, I was incredibly emotional, and immediately I called Sarfraz and told him. And I think that, for those of you who've seen Bruce's show, on Broadway, amazing piece of work. I think that, one of the, where we've sort of paralleled with him going on his journey with family, his father, reconciling things, in a way the film's done that for Sarfraz. And so I think Bruce appreciated that it was about a completely different person, not him, but the way the music works so universally. And I think where Bruce is now, he's obviously thinking about legacy, and I think that was, that is why that moment with him felt so good, and honest and authentic and truthful.
Well, Bruce is right. This movie is perfect. Thank you for bringing it to Sundance.